Report 35 B2A. Experimentation on anomaly 1. Take 1. Take part 1.
The room had no corners. White walls curved into white ceiling, into white floor, seamless, like the inside of an egg that had learned how to hate. Nia floated in the center, suspended by nothing she could see. Gold circuitry blazed beneath her skin, brighter than it had ever been, brighter than she wanted. Every pulse felt like a scream she wasn't allowed to make. They had taken everything else. Her clothes, replaced with a paper-thin white shift that glowed faintly where the circuitry touched it. Her copper bangles, gone. Her phone, her wallet, the cracked smartwatch that had once said, "User not alone," gone. Even the linen-wrapped key Rosemarie had pressed into her hand was gone, though Nia could still feel its warmth, like a phantom limb. She had been here for 3 days, or 3 hours. Time had become a suggestion. The only sound was the low, perfect hum of the room itself, a frequency designed to keep the current quiet inside her. It worked the way damp cotton works on a gunshot wound, muffled, but the blood still seeps. They had asked her questions, not with words, with light. Cold white lattice poured into her mind every few hours, threading through memories like frost through cracked stone. They wanted the shape of the circle. They wanted the location of the papyrus fragment. They wanted to know why the anomaly in Harlem kept singing. She gave them nothing. Not because she was brave, because every time the lattice got too close to the place where Elijah lived inside her chest, the gold circuitry flared so bright, it burned the lattice away. The technicians called it a firewall. Nia called it her grandfather refusing to be edited twice. They had tried everything. Drugs that tasted like copper and regret. Frequencies that made her teeth vibrate until she tasted blood. A helmet that looked like a crown made of teeth. Nothing worked. Now they were done asking. The wall in front of her rippled like water. A door opened that hadn't been there a heartbeat earlier. Dr. Miriam Kessler stepped into the light. White coat pristine, hair pulled back so severe it looked painful. Eyes the color of winter steel. She studied Nia the way a jeweler studies a flawed diamond. Curious, clinical, already calculating how much pressure it would take to make it sing.
Good morning, Miss Mensah.
She said, voice velvet over broken glass.
You have been very inconvenient.
Nia tried to speak, only a rasp. Kessler smiled without warmth.
The paralytic will wear off in 90 minutes. Until then, please consider this a performance review.
She gestured. A holographic sphere bloomed above Nia's chest. Cold clinical gold, glyphs marching in perfect lockstep.
We call this Project Logos, the perfected word, the frequency that makes people choose silence because it feels like peace.
She leaned closer, almost tender.
Project Logos is simple. We identified the exact carrier wave that human grief, rage, and memory ride on. 7.83 Hertz, the Schumann resonance, the planet's own heartbeat. We inverted it, one continuous sub-audible tone delivered globally through every phone, every speaker, every smart device, every bone conduction implant, every satellite relay, even the wiring in hospital walls. 90 seconds of exposure and the limbic system downregulates permanently. You don't stop feeling, you just stop caring that you feel.
Happy birthday.
Love becomes nostalgia. Revolution becomes inconvenient. 3 billion voluntary downloads in the first week proved the model. At 100% saturation, war ends. Crime ends. Protest ends. The species finally evolves past the animal era of emotion. We don't force silence, we make them beg for it.
Nia's voice came back in a croak.
You can't mute blood.
Kessler's smile thinned.
We muted 3 billion heartbeats last week. One more is only arithmetic.
She placed a silver circlet on Nia's temples. Cold metal kissed skin. The machine began to sing. Gold circuitry under Nia's skin answered with fury. The two frequencies collided inside her body like opposing storms. Pain, bright and clean. Kessler's eyes widened a fraction.
Resistance profile off the charts. Fascinating.
Nia tasted copper.
Tell Vale. His mother's skull says hi.
Kessler actually flinched. Then the lights went out. Not dimmed. Out. Emergency red bathed the room like fresh blood. Alarms howled. The cups snapped open on their own. The circlet shattered, raining silver shards that turned to sand before they hit the floor. Kessler took one step back. Nia stood. Gravity seemed to forget her for a heartbeat. Gold poured from her skin in rivers, eating the dampers, climbing the walls, turning the white room into a sunrise. Every server in the sub-basement began to scream in perfect tweet. Kessler reached for a red button under the console. Nia looked at her. The button melted into slag. Kessler's hand blistered. She did not scream. She only stared. Wonder and terror braided tight. Nia walked past her. The doors irised open before she touched them. She walked barefoot through corridors that now bled shadow, past technicians clawing at their ears as ancestral voices poured from the speakers in languages they had never been taught. She took the stairwell up 28 flights, gold light leaving smoking footprints. She burst into the parking garage barefoot, white shift burned to glowing tatters, gold circuitry blazing like living scripture. The circle was waiting. A matte black Charger idled in the center lane, engine growling low, impatient thunder. Rosemarie stood beside the open rear door, arms folded, toothpick working slow.
Took you 18 minutes.
She said.
I had 20 in the pool.
Tariq lounged against the hood, powdered sugar on his grin, beignet in one hand, keys spinning around a finger of the other.
Pay up, Auntie.
He laughed.
Told you the conduit don't stay caged.
Lily leaned out the back window, violet light soft in her eyes, holding a clean hoodie and a paper cup steaming with chicory coffee.
We felt the dampers die from 3 miles away.
She said gently.
Figured you might need a ride.
Nia looked down at herself, gold lace crawling up her throat, feet blackened with melted damper residue, hair floating like it had opinions. She laughed, cracked, free, unstoppable. Rosemarie opened the back door wider.
Get in, Cher. You just sit your glowing self down and breathe. I'm driving.
Nia slid across the leather. Tariq vaulted into shotgun, still eating. Lily passed the coffee forward, then reached across and buckled Nia in, like a big sister who had done it 1,000 times in other lifetimes. Rosemarie dropped behind the wheel, slammed the door, and grinned like a woman who had just won a war.
Hold on to your ancestors, babies.
She floored it. Tires screamed. Los Angeles shrank in the mirrors, swallowed by gold light and sunrise. Behind them, the Helix building went dark floor by floor, as though something inside had finally learned how to sleep. Somewhere under a glacier, a mother's skull waited for her son to keep the promise he made the night a luau laughed in his mother's voice. And in the back seat, Nia Mensa leaned her head against the cool window, closed her eyes, and let the current carry her home. The blood remembered, and for once, it let someone else drive.